First reactions for Daredevil Born Again have dropped, and they are extremely positive. A bunch of people were able to watch the first 2 episodes of the show, and the embargo for social reactions dropped last night. And every single tweet that I saw was positive, most of them extremely glowing praise, with only some minor criticisms sprinkled throughout the reactions. Now keep in mind, social reactions, initial reactions to Marvel projects tend to be very positive. They don't have the best reputation over the last few years, and people have only watched the first 2 episodes. There is a history of these Disney Plus shows having an intriguing kickoff and falling apart by the end. With those disclaimers aside, these are very encouraging reactions. Daredevil is a worthy successor, nails what made the original work while moving these characters forward in shocking ways. The grounded tone and grit is there, the writing is as great as before, the action even larger and sharper. Traumatized, overjoyed, loved it. And you're going to see a bunch of these recurring themes that it's grounded, it's gritty, it's as violent, the action is still great, and something shocking happens. Rachel, friend of the channel, says, Daredevil brings my boy back to me. The fight sequences are just as violent as the original show and play with Matt's morality in such a poignant and beautiful way. Charlie and Vincent step effortlessly back into their rivalry. I love having my devil back. Another recurring theme, Cox and D'Onofrio step right back into it. They have not skipped a beat. It feels right. They feel right. Daredevil is a powerful reintroduction to Marvel's most complex and scourged character. Cox and D'Onofrio take their rightful place in the MCU and set the stage for the darkest and most brutal chapter yet. I've seen the first 2 episodes and very optimistic for the rest. Daredevil marks a brutal and bloody return for the man without fear. It stays true to the raw, gritty vibes of the original while embracing the MCU. D'Onofrio and Cox slip back into their roles like they never left. After 2 intense stage-setting eps, I'm ready for more. Like a no-holds-barred street brawl, Daredevil is a return to form for Hell's Kitchen's most iconic vigilante that brings some much-needed grit to the MCU. Much more than just a superhero-themed twist on a Law and Order, it's easily the best Marvel TV series since X-Men 97. And of course, X-Men 97 came out only a year ago, so it's only been like 2 shows in between. So the phrasing on that one isn't exactly the biggest praise, since that's not a long list of shows, but it is a very positive reaction to the show. Saw the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, and it pulls no punches. Some bold choices are made in the first 10 minutes that I hope this story lands, because if not, whoo, boy, would love to see more street-level adult storytelling from Marvel. Once again, establishing adult, street-level, and something right out of the gate is shocking. I'm assuming someone we love is going to die. Daredevil has the best pilot of any MCU series thus far, and it's not close. Edge of seat energy with audible gasps throughout. More shocking imagery. Charlie and Vincent haven't lost a step. That recurring theme again. Benson Moorhead bring the sauce. Above all else, it's episodic. We might be back. This is one another people mentioned in here. I don't know if they're all in here, but several people said it's episodic. So like each episode has its own story. It's not just like so much of the MCU and Star Wars shows. They're a 4-hour movie broken up into 6 to 8 episodes. Saying it's episodic. Each episode is a story with a beginning, a middle, and end. It feels like something's complete, but there's ongoing journeys throughout everything kind of going on. Marvel's Daredevil comes out of the gate hot, among the strongest starts for a Marvel Studios TV show to date, in my honest opinion. The first 2 episodes are terrific, setting up a story that is part court procedural and part all-out brawl. Watch the first 2 episodes of Daredevil, and wow, episode 1 starts with a bang and makes a point to show you this isn't Netflix. Not really sure what that means or what that's implying, or if I should be excited about that. Truly fantastic fight sequences that will leave you speechless. D'Onofrio is incredible as a hardened, cautious, and weary Fisk. I'm very confused as to what that makes a point to show you this isn't Netflix. I don't know what that means or what it's implying, or like My gut takeaway from that is that's a negative, because I loved Marvel Netflix Daredevil. So that's where this was and where it worked. As soon as you say, it makes a point to tell you it's not Netflix. I don't want the Disney-ified version of Netflix Daredevil. I want continuation of Netflix Daredevil. So I don't know what that means. It doesn't seem to like other people aren't contradicting this to say like what that interpretation that I had that was more negative there, but I'm not sure what that is. Like, is the point of that it's very MCU interconnected, and so we're referencing MCU as a whole more directly? Okay, but I don't know what makes a point to show you this isn't Netflix. That's a negative for me, but I don't think he didn't phrase it at all as a negative. Chris Killian, another friend of the channel. First 2 episodes of Daredevil breathe a new stylish energy into Daredevil that feels less grounded than the Netflix run, but more akin to the moodiness of the comics, which I personally loved. Prepare for a gut punch and avoid spoilers once again. Someone's gonna die. That's all these reactions make pretty clear. Somebody's gonna die. I won't throw out my speculation, but pretty sure I know who we're not seeing again after the first 10 minutes of this show. But so he says it's not as grounded. It's less grounded than the Netflix show, whereas everyone else was talking about grounded, gritty. So I think it's just as violent, it's just as dark, but it probably leans a little bit more into the fantastical side of the MCU. And maybe that's what the previous reaction was referring to. But what he does say is like, it leans into the moodiness. Like, we're still in Daredevil zone. Like, it's that. We still got all of that, but maybe not quite as totally street level grounded as before. Brandon Davis, recent friend of the channel, says Daredevil comes out swinging. It's a true continuation of the Netflix series. Cox and D'Onofrio haven't missed a beat. Some VFX moments are a weak spot. It kicks ass, moves quick, and takes no prisoners. Really solid 2 first episodes. Really enjoyed and want to see more. So very glowing and positive, but a little bit more of kind of the slight negatives. Some not so great VFX. Honestly, if like our big negative is that the VFX aren't great and we're allowed to have our dark, gritty show, but they didn't way overspend on it, I'm so okay with that. Like, I don't need every VFX to be awesome on a TV show. If the budget's reasonable. I'm totally okay with that. Final reaction, and this one once again has a little bit of a negative flavor. The opening of the first episode is a little rough, but once things settle down, you will really get a feel for how the series handles its grimly little corner of the MCU. I think we're in for a real treat. So even one that's kind of kicks off sort of negative, it's rough at the beginning, says we're in for a real treat. So even the ones that had a criticism, a negative, were very positive about the show. A lot of references to it being dark, gritty, just as violent, fights are just as good. A couple of them talked about the writing being just as strong. That wasn't as recurring of a theme. Like, they talk about how great the 2 leads are. I didn't hear as much like, man, the dialogue is so good. And with Marvel Netflix, that's one of the things people praised about the show is you just loved these dialogue scenes between these complex characters. And you didn't quite get that here, but we are also only talking about the first 2 episodes. If you want to start with a bang, let people know exactly what you're doing, you might not have the room to have some of the great dialogue. And if I was just reviewing the first 2 episodes of season 1 of Daredevil, the dialogue might not have been what popped the way that as the season went along, it did. But just some observations here. All the signs are extremely positive. This is great to hear. Even the stuff where I was like, wait a minute, what does that mean? In the context of everything else, I'm not actually worried, but first reactions have overhyped a lot of projects over the last few years, and they have only seen 2 episodes, and these Disney Plus shows have a bad history of going off the rails in the middle. At the moment, I'm very optimistic because of everything that we've heard about this show since they decided to do the creative reboot. Almost everything they've said has been very encouraging and makes me think we're going to get a worthy follow-up to my favorite show from the last decade.